stay tuned because I think we're gonna get some interesting news here. Let's go.
A little different, and from inside the White House, we have a special guest joining us now, the 46th President of the United States and presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden, calling in to Morning Joe right now. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Mika, I'm more than presumption. I'm going to be the Democratic nominee.
There you go.
Okay, well, Mr. President, that leads to the letter that we just received a few minutes ago. And I'm curious, there's a part of it where you talk about the fact that you got 14 million votes, 87% of the vote. It was an open process. You only had 3 people running against you. You have 3,900 delegates. And then you ask this question, do we now just say the process didn't matter, that the voters didn't have a say? I'm curious, is that an allusion also to Donald Trump and the fact that Democrats, you believe, may now be doing the same thing that Donald Trump tried to do in 2020, and that is overthrow the popular will of Democratic voters?
Well, look, Democrats.
That's crazy. He's asking Joe this. Okay.
Joe, let me say it this way.
Joe is asking other Joe this.
You and
Okay.
I've been out on the road so much, all over the country, and while Trump is riding around in his golf cart, filling out his golf cart before he even hits the ball. But anyway, he hadn't been anywhere in 10 days. I've been all over the country, number one. And I've gone over the country for several reasons. One, to make sure my instinct was right about the party still wanting me to be the nominee. And all the data shows that the average Democrat out there who voted, the 14 million of them that voted for me, still want me to be the nominee, number one. Number two, the idea that Donald Trump has gained in any substantial way, has his argument to why he should be president is anywhere convincing than it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. It's just not there. And we're just starting to focus on Trump. And look, I attended services, spoke to over 600 people at Mount Airy Church of God in Christ in Philly. I stopped by campaign field office.
I did see that. It looked like he got a lot of love out there. I will admit that. At that church, though. I will admit.
John Fetterman and Madeline Dean, both strongly supporting me. The president and the first lady, we spoke at a campaign ice cream social for AFSCME, Council 13 in Harrisburg. 40 minutes after we spoke with supporters, stopped by Denim Coffee. I mean, I was with the governor of.
These pictures are looking strong, huh? These pictures. Okay.
Pennsylvania, who's still strongly supporting me. I mean, so look, and the fact is that this week I'm going to be hosting NATO Summit here in D.C. Going to hold a press conference on Thursday. On Wednesday, I met with the national union leaders of the AFL-CIO. On Friday, I traveled to Detroit, Michigan for a campaign event. Just on down the line. And so I'm not getting any of what I was told. I wanted to make sure I was right, that the average voter out there still wanted Joe Biden. And I'm confident they do. And I'm confident, and like I said, the press is with me. I think they've been fairly fair. I haven't read any reporting they did today. But the fact is that, I think they have to acknowledge we had large crowds, enthusiastic crowds. And, and now they're talking about whether I use a prompter. Well, I did it all extemporaneously. The fact of the matter is, I was using prompters too. I don't get that. But at any rate, the bottom line here is that.
Is Joe saying that he does or does not use teleprompters? I'm so confused on that.
We're not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere.
Okay, this is the big news, right? This is the big news. He's not going anywhere. He's not stepping down, right? Okay.
I wouldn't be running if I didn't absolutely believe that I am the best candidate to beat Donald Trump in 2024. We had a Democratic nominating process where the voters spoke clearly. I won 14 million of those votes, et cetera. So I not only believe that from the beginning, but I wanted to reassert it and demonstrate that it's true. And I'm going to be doing that all through this week and from here on.
So we know.
By the way, he's not on the phone, right? They're you can see them, but we can't see him, right? So what's going on? Just so confused.
Yesterday, there was quite a contrast to the people that were supporting you yesterday compared to, say, a lot of the Washington insiders and Hollywood moguls, and go down the list of very powerful people that want you out compared to the support that you had in Pennsylvania yesterday. That said, there are a lot of people of goodwill who love you, who believe you did a great job in your first term, who are still concerned. Yesterday, the topic came up of the Stephanopoulos interview, where you were asked the question, how would you feel if Donald Trump beat you? How would you feel after you lost? And
this is a great question, and guess what? He is a great person that asks this question.
You said, well, as long as I did the best I could do, that's the most important thing. That's caused Democrats concern, who believe that losing is not an option. What would you say to those who are concerned by that answer?
It's not an option, and I've not lost. I haven't lost. I beat him last time. I'll beat him this time. And this is a guy who, look, we talk about debates. Look at his performance at debates. He lied over, Trump has 50 lies. I mean, look, this is a guy who says 10% of the universe. Yeah, I want to get into it. He's just a liar.
It was 27 lies. Now it's 50 lies. How many lies is it, man? I just don't know anymore.
He hadn't done a damn thing since the debate. He's been riding around in a golf cart for 10 days. He's down in Mar-a-Lago talking with his wealthy friends. I'm not running because of these guys, Joe. I'm running because, and you know me well enough to know this from the very beginning.
Why are you running, Joe?
I ran because I never bought on to the trickle-down economic theory. I never bought into the notion that we have to walk away from the rest of the world and cave to Putin or anybody else. I've never believed any of that. And I'm confident that's where the American people are. So what I did was I went out and I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any slippage at all. And with the average voter,
I'm so confused how that got into the slippage.
I don't care what the millionaires
man.
And by the way, 97% of all the people who contribute to us are people making under 200, contributing under $200. I think we have the largest contingent ever in history. I'm not positive of that, but I think that's true. And so I want their support, but that's not the reason I'm running. I'm not running about what they think and what they care about. And by the way, you don't see a whole hell of a lot of them flocking to Trump. You don't see a whole lot of CEOs flocking to Trump. You don't see any. You see the major economists out there talking about what I have been able to do. I don't hear anybody talking about his economic plan likely to bring America around and keep America first. And by the way, here's Trump talking about all that he's done and Trump and his debate night. He's a pathological liar. He lied about Roe. He refused to accept the outcome of the election. He refused to condemn January 6th, and
it sounds like he's like there's still something there, right?
Says
it's interesting.
He spoke with Putin before he invaded. What the hell are we doing, Joe? What are we doing?
Morning, Joe. They're laughing. Oh my God, this is crazy. This is a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy from President Joe Biden. It's very interesting. Okay.
This is bizarre.
No.
It's a good question. I have a few questions, Mr. President. And I know you know where I stand, and yet I have a few questions. First, it's very simple. How can you assure the American people that you won't have another night like the one you did in Atlanta?
Look at my career. I've not had many of those nights. It was a terrible night, and I really regret it happened. But the fact of the matter is, how can you assure you're going to be on fate that can intervene on your way to go to work tomorrow? Age wasn't.
What? Huh? What?
the idea I'm too old. Created over 15 million jobs, 21 million insured for the ACA, beat Big Pharma, relieved student debts for 5 million people, first black woman in the court. So I think I had a significant run, and that's how I'd measure me. Measure me what I've done. And by the way, in terms of my neurological capacity, I had a physical, a neurological physical as well in February. It's released. I released all my records, all of them.
Okay.
All of them. And I have a neurological test every single day.
Can I look up any of these tests? Like, okay. I need to look into this. We need to look into this.
Sitting behind this desk and making these decisions. You know it. Both of you know it.
Because he's saying it to Morning Joe. It has to be true, right? He's saying it like there's to thousands of millions of people are going to be watching this, right? It's got to be true, right?
They know it. I'm not bad at what I do. And now, it doesn't mean I never make a mistake. I do. But I'm making those decisions.
Mr. President, if anybody in my family had a night like that, like if my Joe had a night like that, or my kids or anybody, I'd probably want to do some sort of workup and medical workup and make sure he's okay. Have you been?
Because Mrs. Scarborough cares about. She cares about Morning Joe.
Been tested for any age-related illnesses, pre-Parkinson's, or anything like that that might explain sort of having a night like that where you couldn't finish sentences?
Look.
He even left. Yo, he even left.
I had I was feeling so badly before the debate. When I came back, they tested me for, I thought maybe I had COVID, maybe there was something wrong. I had an infection or something. They tested me, they gave me those tests, I was clear. So, but look, I had a bad night. But the fact of the matter is, look at what I'm doing. I mean, let me put it this way. If there was something that was wrong that night, it's not like it comes and that's one night and it goes away. That's why I've been out. I've been testing myself, been testing everywhere I go, going out and making the case. The night of that debate, I went out. I was out till 2 o'clock in the morning. That
guy, President Joe Biden, was out too late, and he had to pull up and do this presidential debate and a bunch of other stuff. He didn't get enough rest. Man.
That very night, it drives me nuts, people talking about this. That very night, I'm talking to large crowds. Look at the crowds we've gathered everywhere from Atlanta to North Carolina to Pennsylvania, and look at the enthusiasm. But it was right after. Where the hell's Trump been? What has Trump said or done except deny and lie about what he's for?
Okay, so you have repeatedly said that all of these people and entities are wrong. And let me go through them. The New York Times editorial board, The Economist, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Boston Globe, Jerry Nadler, Seth Moulton. Let me go to Julian Castro, Tim Ryan, David Axelrod.
Just real quick here. Just take a little tactical pause. And check this out here. Biden facing calls to exit race. So NBC News, the Boston Globe, the Hill, there's the New York Times here. It's the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and the Financial Times. 4 more Democrats in Congress call for Biden to step aside in the 2024 race. And then we're going to go down to the Financial Times here. Joe Biden under new pressure to quit race as Democratic disquiet spreads, or disquiet, however you want to pronounce that. This is crazy.
David Remnick, Richard Haas. Yeah, I know which one you're responding to there. Zeke Emanuel. But they're saying that you should step aside. So what is your plan of attack moving forward? These are pretty big names.
Is to go out and keep doing their big names, but I'm
We would all love to know this.
I don't care what those big names think. They were wrong in 2020. They're wrong in 2022 about the red wave. They're wrong in 2024. And come out with me. Watch people react. You make a judgment. You make a judgment. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm going to have all these.
You're the judge, folks. You be the judge.
Foreign leaders here. I've been in contact with the new British Prime Minister. Anyway, look, the country, the rest of the world is looking. Our allies are looking for U.S. leadership. Who else do you think could step in here and do this? I expect
the allies of the U.S. are looking for leadership. Absolutely. Like coherent, like legitimate, faithful, loyal, honest, grateful, strong leadership. Are we getting that here? Are they getting that? I would love to know. Like, we got to talk to some folks out there. But we'll find out at this NATO summit that's happening, this week or whatever? Interesting.
And in NATO, I solidified NATO. Ask your brother about it in Poland. I made sure they were in a position where.
Ask your brother. Whose brother? In Poland? Okay.
We have a coalition of people, of the nations around the world to deal with China, with Russia, with everything that's going on in the world. We're making real progress. The Biden plan, which got in Israel for the Gaza Strip, is something that was adopted by the UN Security Council. Whether it comes to fruition, it's awful close. We'll see. G7's okay. But look,
Mrs. Scarborough's taking some detailed notes over there with a Sharpie. Or she's scratching something out with a Sharpie this whole time. It's probably just the questions, right?
I'm not going to explain any more about what I should.
What was that? What was that? Did you see the body language? That it's very interesting that they do this show together, that they're like a husband and wife, and they're also partners on this show, so they're business partners, and they do this show, and you see their energy. It's very interesting.
Or shouldn't do. I am running. Mm-hmm. And if you want to stop me,
I wanted to ask you, it's so interesting. You talked about how, you were supposed to lose in 2020. You won. There was supposed to be a huge wave in 2022. There wasn't. In 2023, Republicans were supposed to win. They didn't. You could say the same thing about France. Le Pen was supposed to win in 2 years ago. She ended up getting crushed. Her party, her far-right nationalist extreme party, was supposed to win yesterday. They ended up getting crushed. I'm curious, what message do you take from the French elections and the British elections? Because we keep hearing about the rise of far-right nationalist extremism in Europe.
I don't know if anybody's, tapped in on what's going on. A new prime minister in the UK, and then there's like a new, I don't know what's going on in France. They're like, like protesting and stuff like that. Like, some kind of how do you say, there's a different momentum in their politics now. It's very interesting. We'll definitely do a video and some research on it. Let's get back to this.
But I've got to say, it looks like this past week has been the worst week for far-right nationalists between Britain and France. I'm wondering what you say about that, and what message you take to NATO allies this week.
Look, Joe, let's get something clear about 20 and 24. Not only were they wrong, I said they were wrong beforehand. I said we were going to win and how we're going to win. I didn't pretend about it. It wasn't like, oh my God, I was surprised. I was not surprised. I predicted it. I knew what we were doing, number one. Number two, you may remember, I was one of the few people out there publicly saying before the 2022 election, there will be no red wave. There will be no red wave. Because I've been all over the country. I didn't believe it at all. And then in 2023, the key elections, I went into those races. Not every one of them, but a lot of them. And I said we were going to win. Look at we won those. So, Joe, it wasn't just that it didn't happen. I was predicting beforehand it would not happen. Because I've got a pretty good political instinct and eye. And here's the deal. It's not going to happen here this time around. The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for two reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot, just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance, number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party.
The elites. Oh, man. It's very interesting to hear Joe Biden, President Joe Biden of the United States of America, talk about elites. That's crazy work right now.
So they know so much more. But any of these guys don't think I should run against me. Go ahead, announce the president. Challenge me in the convention. You know, on Europe, the polls are wrong in France. They're also right, there's no right wave or tide here in America either. By the way, in case you're wondering whether there is one, have you ever seen Trump run away so fast from what he's for? You know he's going to do it anyway, but have you ever, he's such a liar.
Run away from what? I don't, I'm not understanding what. And then he's saying there's like not going to be another hot. I'm just.
This guy, everybody knows what they're planning to do. And now he's saying, no. This guy is going to rip away at a woman's right to choose in a permanent way. This guy is going to make sure that he exacts revenge. This guy's going to destroy democracy. This guy's going to give a blank check to the Supreme Court and going to use its past, the 2025 agenda. You know, this guy's extremely dangerous. But you notice he doesn't speak up for what he really is for. He's all of a sudden realizing, oh my God, nobody's for what I'm for. But anyway, look.
Wow, this is like crazy to hear him like speak these like full sentences. Like, it's impressive right now. And it's so crazy that we can't physically see this man speaking. So it's like, what? Where was this person at? What? That's literally what's going on in my head right now. Where was this person at? The whole three. Oh, man.
And again, think of the things he lied about. He talked about he gave the largest tax cut in history. Yeah, he gave the largest tax cut in history to millionaires and billionaires. He said that he's going to, those 10% universal tax proposal is not going to drive prices higher. Every major economist in the world is saying it's going to drive an average $2,500 per person. Only jobs he created for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs and bounce back from COVID. Give me a break. That's what he said at the convention. At the debate. Everything he said. He said, he largely fixed COVID. You kidding me? And what happened? Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything except me and the folks out there in the local, race,
So, if anybody's like paying attention to the audio, that's him flipping a piece of paper over. Like he's reading off of something.
He said, I did nothing to stop Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In fact, he said, I think I encouraged Russia from going, I think he encouraged Russia going in. I mean, I'm reading from a list of lies. First of all, he was made up quotes, suckers and losers. I was with it. He called the Americans in the cemeteries from World War I suckers and losers. And so this guy's going to have to start to answer for what he did. I'm not letting up, Joe. I am not letting up a little bit. And by the way, France registered, look, you talk about Europe. France rejected extremism. Democrats will reject it here as well. Trump, and this is a guy who is an extreme candidate. I can't think of a candidate in my lifetime that's been more extreme. He makes George Wallace look like a patriot.
George Wallace.
Biden, let's make
Hail
this a
George
thing.
Wallace,
Thank you
man.
for calling in.
We need the real George Wallace out here, like to lead us to victory. Cause like this guy Joe Biden, I don't know, man. I don't. William Wallace. William Wallace. Get this out.
We really appreciate it. And thank you for
I'm
answering
not
our
going away.
questions.
If you're willing to hear from me, I'm willing to talk to you. Thank you very much.
We will take it on a regular basis.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. Greatly appreciated.
President Joe Biden.
I've been doing this a long time, and I, honest to God, have never been more optimistic about America's future if we stick together. I really mean it. Here's what else I've learned, and many of you have learned. You walk your faith as well. We're all imperfect beings. We don't know where or what fate will deliver us to or when. What we do know is that we can seek a life of light, hope, love, and truth no matter what. We can seek that life. Take all of our experiences and give everything we have to work together, because when we do, you can't stop us. I mean this sincerely.
President Biden speaking at a church in Philadelphia over the weekend as he faces a critical week for the future of his campaign. Calls for him to bow out of the race continue from some Democratic members of Congress, as well as members of the donor class. This comes as the president is set to lead the NATO summit this week in Washington. And Donald Trump is lying low for the most part. He's disappeared.
Now, this is a perfect segue to get into the next part of this live here for you folks. So that was President Joe Biden doing an interview with Msnbc. Very interesting, right? With Morning Joe and his wife. My thoughts on it? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's looking a little. This whole speech here sounds pretty on point. Like, I'm just gonna be real. I mean, where was this? Where was this? I mean, he still does look old and so on and so forth, but like, where was this? Come on, man. It's just, at this point, I feel like it's just, he's just been slipping too much. He's been slipping too much, and there's only so much that the media can do. But where was this? This seems like he's on point. I don't know, folks. I don't know, folks. And Mrs. Scarborough mentioned Donald Trump. That's what we're about to jump into now. Let me know what you folks think in the comment section below. Hit the like, share, and the subscribe button. We watch MSNBC's Morning Joe interview with President Joe Biden. Very interesting times that we're in. Let me know.